Good morning, all of you. Now audible? Okay, thank you. Yeah, good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about educational psychology. These subjects deals with the elective A. Mainly focus this elective education with psychology. Then education psychology concepts related to morally based on our syllabus. So now we are going to discuss about total syllabus today. So out of a total 15 units, generally this fifth semester we have two optionals or two electives. One is educational psychology and another one is organizational behavior. Those who have opted earlier, they may be follow the syllabus according to you need to prepare for the examinations. So this is elective A deals with 100 marks paper. Generally core papers, all core papers deals with 80 marks and 20 marks relating to practicals. But this elective, any kind of elective, you need to prepare for 100 marks paper theory examinations. So here, educational psychology. So what is education and what is psychology? First, this is the fifth semester. So in fifth semester, we need to understand the concepts related to this educational psychology. So out of total syllabus, first we need to focus on the syllabus first. So what is the syllabus? Generally, the educational psychology, mostly important branch of applied psychology, because it deals with the ways and measures of various process of education. And also it helps the teacher to teach effectively and learners to learn effectively. That is very important. So recognizing the importance of educational psychology in modern society, it is offered as one of the courses at undergraduate level. Because in this book, the structure and introduced the different concepts of the educational psychology, like principles of psychology, that are assumed to have implications in the teaching learning process in educational institutions. Generally, the initial units throw in light of the main aim and scope of education, problems of schooling and nature of education psychology. Simply, in the black 2 also, we need to focus on an effect the made help the student understand the different aspects of special education. Hence, some of the concepts like domains of learning or types of learning mostly covers the stages of memory, causes of forgetting, etc. are covered in upcoming block 3. So the total contents, what are the total contents? So we need to divide into 5 blocks. This 100 marks paper elective book. The first block deals with the introduction and educational psychology. The block name itself, introduction to educational psychology. In this one, we need to discuss about 3 units. So unit 1 deals with aims of education in relation to individual and society. Here in this unit, we need to know about aims of education. There are so many types of educational aims or general aims. So how we can achieve that kind of aims based on this educational psychology principles, and how it relation to the individual as well as to the society. So this first unit, we need to focus on aims of education that deals with or it relation to the individual or society. Then comes under this block 1, unit 2, scope of education, scope of education and problems of schooling in contemporary India. Scope of education and problems of schooling in contemporary India. This is also very important topic. What is the scope of the problems in education? In schooling system, how we can understand contemporary Indian perspective, the scope of education. This deals with the unit 2 and comes under this block 1, last unit, unit 3, that is educational psychology. So before going to discuss about the educational psychology, we need to focus on what are the aims of education, then scope of education, then we need to focus on educational psychology, that is unit 3. In this educational psychology, mostly we need to cover entire the psychological concepts in this unit. For example, personality, memory, intelligence, or like some of the learning aspects, how the learning aspects will be effect on the individuals or students or teachers. The teacher and learner relationship between the psychology and education will be uh, involved in this unit 3. Then comes under block 2. So block 2 means that unit 4, 5, 6 covered in this block. The block name itself, understanding learners development and diversity. That is very important. So any kind of educational aims or scope of education or educational psychology perspectives need to be focused on the application of understanding learners development. If we know very well, we can be apply anywhere in schooling system, education system for the learners development and diversity purpose. So this is the block name. In this block, unit 4 covers individual differences. We have so many differences. The person to person, there are so many differences will be observed. Because some of the individuals have more in memory. Some of the individuals have more in intelligence. Or some of the individuals have more in the personality development. Like that, there are various kind of individual differences. The teacher should know about the individual differences. That's why we need to focus on unit 4, individual differences. Then unit 5, the special needs. The special needs means nowadays, if we observing the 100 members students, in that 100 member students, we need to categorize the mainly 3 types. The first type is below average. Second one is average. Then third one is above average. Generally, it will be happen in any kind of classroom situation. So below average means the according to psychological perspective, the educational psychology perspective, the students have their own intelligence levels, the personality characteristics, and various abilities. So based on their abilities, their intelligence, their personality characteristics, their behavior, based on we can identify into 3 categories: below average, then average, then above average. So below average means in this below average, the special needs people also covered. Sometimes above average, the special needs concern. Because the more intellectual people also, they need some kind of uh, remedial teaching. The below average individuals or students need some kind of special focus on education. So in this unit, we need to cover special needs, the unit 5. Unit 6 also comes under inclusive education. So inclusive education and special needs mostly focus on this above average and below average individuals or students or learners. Then unit 7, 8, 9 comes under the block 3. The block 3 name itself learning and memory. Learning and memory. So what is learning and how it will be affected in the future memory or forgetting or some other psychological aspects. So we need to focus on unit 7, the domains of learning. How many domains are available for learning? What kind of approaches we need to focus to learn the characteristics of the learners, the domains, how it will be affects their individual perceptions, like that we can discuss. Then unit 8. Unit 8 types of learning. So how many types of learnings are available? There are so many types of learnings. So how these kind of types of learning can teach, can learn about the learner's perspective as well as sometimes teacher's perspective. Then unit 9, memory and forgetting. This is very important topic. So unit 9, the third block, memory and forgetting. So if we know about the, as a educational perspective teacher should know about the memory and forgetting. If they know memory and forgetting principles, memory models, memory theorems, so memory types, they may be extended their knowledge at the time of application to the learners. They keep in mind their overall educational perspectives. So memory and forgetting is very important. Then after completion of block 3rd, so we need to focus on education in the Indian context. That is block 4th name, education in the Indian context. So here in this block, we need to cover unit 10, 11 and 12. Unit 10 means curriculum and diversity. So curriculum is very important. While we teach any kind of syllabus to the learner based on the culture, based on the environment, so based on the societal needs, based on the objectives, we need to frame some curriculum. How we can frame the curriculum and that design may affect the future learning aspects purpose, we need to focus on curriculum and diversity. This is the unit 10. Then unit 11 covers stress and anxiety in schools. This is also very important topic. So almost education psychology, almost all units are very important, but some of the units mainly focused on this. That kind of units may need to deals with the direct to the learners and how they reduce these kind of problems. like stress and anxiety in schools. What kind of stress? How we can reduce? How they will be cope up with the situation? And the students need to be focused on the regular activities. How they will be overcome their individual stress as well as family stress as well as school stress. Of course, sometimes teachers also having some kind of stress among the students' purpose or development of their own purpose, the family purpose, or understanding of others' behavior time also. They may be feel some kind of stress. So Unit 11 covers stress and anxiety in schools. Coming to Unit 12. Unit 12, special issues of education in India. Special issues of education in India. What kind of policies we need to cover? That kind of policies may help for the society or for the individual or for the school. So special issues of education in India. In this, we need to focus on the policies mainly, how we can understand, how we can apply in various situations. Then lastly, block 5. So block 5 means the guidance and counseling in schools. Guidance and counseling in schools. So here we need to focus on Unit 13 and Unit 14. So Unit 13 comes under Introduction to Counseling. What is counseling? Types of goals of counseling. How we can understand the person's behavior with the help of counseling. The characteristics of the counselor or characteristics of the models of the counseling. Like that, we need to focus on Introduction to Counseling. Then Unit 14, finally, types of counseling and guidance. Types of counseling and guidance. So these are all 14 units comes under this educational psychology elective A. So total 100 marks paper. After completion of this overall brief idea about the 14 units, we need to focus on the model question paper on the last day. Right? So we need to focus today. So overall idea about the units. Then we need to focus on the Unit 1. Generally, the initial units of all educational psychology, like intelligence, aptitudes, interest, learning, memory, are essential ingredients of education generally. That's why we need to focus some of the concepts like domains of learning, types of learning, so stages of memory, causes of forgetting, etc. covered especially in the black thought also. So one of the important characteristics or feature of the book, this educational psychology book, after completion of all the units, the student will need to be the encouragement for continuous self-evaluation of learning aspects of the students. Also, this is provided in the form of check your progress in every unit. If you observed in your book, so mostly all of you having your books. So after completion of this topic, you need to check once that unit and that book, you need to focus on some writing parts. So in every unit, space for writing the check your progress also available. So I hoped all the contents of the book so would be very much useful to the students, so both academically and in your real life situations also. So today mainly we need to focus on unit 1. So what is unit 1? Under the block 1, so introduction to educational psychology block 1. Under the block 1, unit 1 is aims of education in relation to individual and society. So here the individual is the product of society. How or why? Because without individual development, the production may be very less in any kind of situation or a society. And the society in its own, in its own finds its fulfillment in the development of its individual members generally. So education acts as a rational tool that facilitates proper systematic or synthesis between individual and society. This is very important. So acts, education acts as a rational tool that facilitates proper synthesis between individual and society. Then only the society will be developed according to the state needs, and that state needs according to the central needs. That is very important. Almost in this first unit, under this block, we will understand aims of education and how they serve the nation. As we imagine, generally, an ideal nation where individuals and society should be combined together. Is it questionable or not? So where the aims of one should not interfere with the others. So this unit 1 covers aims of education in relation to the individual and society. So here, if you will be able to see your textbook. In every textbook, in our structure, the unit covers first the introduction. In this first unit, we need to focus on introduction, the meaning of education, then general aims of education. What are the individual aims of education in relation to self or society? And what are the societal or social aims of education? And how that kind of aims importance in education? So what are the factors determining educational aims we need to cover in this unit? So after completion of total unit, so the students will be able to generally understanding the total concepts of educational setups. So our education system in a miniature of society generally. The education is inseparable from the society. We cannot bifurcate, we cannot avoid. Without education, we cannot talk about the society. A teacher is the linking agent between the miniature society, that is education, and the real world society. Whenever we talking about the education, the teacher is the linking agent between the miniature society. Without teacher, we cannot understand, we cannot survive, we cannot know, we cannot perception about the entire society. So education is the most important and powerful instrument so invented by humankind to shape and mold himself generally. We know. So without having any kind of learning, we didn't understand about ourselves also. So education is the most important and powerful instrument invented by humankind to shape and the mold himself or herself in a desirable manner. That is very important. Whatever we want, the education may be mold that kind of desire, purpose. So any modifications throw about the behavior of an individuals. For example, if a person having the capacity of intelligence, that individual cannot recognize their intelligence, they cannot be implement further development. So the history of world proves that education has been the root cause of for any change which takes place in the societal or social or cultural or spiritual or political and economic aspects of the human life. It is very important. So uh, it means it is place in the societal, cultural, spiritual, political, and economical aspects of the human life. That is very important. So without having any kind of educational perspectives, no area cannot be survived. So what is the meaning of education generally? Education is dynamic as well as comprehensive concept. It is dynamic as well as comprehensive concept. So how we can define this dynamic and comprehensive concepts? Here, one of the main principle of education is that yes, am I audible? Right. sometimes the educational aims need to be so very wider understanding. The concept of education is like a diamond which appears to be of different colors. When we need to focus on education is uh, the education can be understood from its roots in four Latin words. Its, its roots from four Latin words. So what are these? So here we need to focus on. So meaning of education. Educate, educier, education, educo. So can be understood from its roots in four Latin words. That is educare, educier, educatum, and educo. So educare means to raise, to nourish, to bring up. Educare means to raise, whatever it may be, to nourish, to bring up. So what is the meaning of educier? To lead out, to lead out, or to draw out, to lead out, or to draw out. So education, educatum, to train, to teach. It means educatum means to train, to teach. This is the teacher perspective. So educo, to draw out, to lead out, to draw out and to lead out. So here, one of the most impacted factor in the education. So SS McKenzie defined in the narrow sense. Education may be taken to mean any consciously directed effects and effort to develop and cultivate powers. A very fantastic definition to develop. According to the SS McKenzie, education may be taken to mean any consciously directed effort to develop and cultivate powers. So James Drever explained about the education is the process in which and by the knowledge, character, and behavior of the young are shaped and molded. On the other hand, the wider meaning of education, it is viewed as a lifelong process which starts from the womb and ends in the tomb. It starts from the womb and ends from the tomb. So it becomes the sum total of experience that the child receives inside and outside of the school through the study of different subjects, through various activities, through the library, the museum, the playground, the workshop, or through the other agencies. He deeply focused on various aspects, according to James Brewer. So, thus, the wider sense education is more than teaching or instruction. Let us see some of other definitions the implying the wider meaning of education. So, M.K. Gandhi. So, according to Mohanchand Karamchand Gandhi, said, by education, I mean the all-round drawing out the best in child, man, body, and mind and soul. It's very important. He said simply, by education, that means the all-round drawing out of the drawing the best in child, either mind, man, body, and soul. That is the education. So John Dewey, according to John Dewey, so education is the development of all those capacities in the individual which enable to control his environment and fulfill his possibilities. So simply, the John Dewey says, without individual capacities, we cannot control our environment and our fulfillment of our possibilities. After learning about the narrow and wider meanings of education, let us also understand the Indian and Western meaning of education. So, meaning of education in India, generally. So, what is the comparison between the India and Western? So, according to the Indian perspective, the ancient Indian educational thinkers, the term Shiksha has been derived from the Sanskrit. In Indian education system, it came. The term Shiksha has been derived from the Sanskrit. This verbal root shell, which means to discipline, to teach, or to instruct, or to control. With the term Shiksha, that means, Shiksha means the to discipline, to teach. To discipline means learner's perspective. Then to teach means teacher perspective. Then to instruct, also teacher perspective. And to control. This is the teacher as well as parent perspective. To control. So the Siksha means education which denotes the act of teaching or instructing. So another term widely we can observe the term Vidya. The first term, according to the uh, uh, Indian perspective, the Siksha, then Vidya. So another term, Vidya has also been derived from the Sanskrit word. This verbal root, with, what it means? With refers to education, which implies knowledge. With refers to education, which implies knowledge. We find four words in this with: Shiksha, Shiksha, Adhyayana, Vinaya, and Prabodha. So Shiksha, Adhyayana, Vinaya, and Prabodha. This comes under in the Indo-Aryan literature. According to Indo-Aryan literature, these four terms covers the entire education. The Shiksha, Adhyayana, Vinaya, and Prabodha. These words correspond to the modern world education. The Indian thinkers have placed special emphasis upon the development of spiritual aspects of education in addition to the overall learning. So, the meaning of education in the West. Wow. So, in India, we need to focus on the Siksha with and according to Indo-Aryan system, Siksha, Adhyayana, Vidya, and Prabodha. Sorry. Then, so uh, here, what is the concept of the Western philosophy of the education? So, Western meaning of education, the meaning of education is found in Plato. He works in which he says, Plato says, education is a lifelong process. Education is a lifelong process, and this lifelong process starting from the first year of the childhood and lasting to the very end of life. So Western educational philosophers have generally accepted the growth of the human child in the essence of education. Also in the words, the Robert or Rush, the focused on education is the enhancement of our environment or enrichment of personality and the embodiment of universal values. According to the Western Robert or Rush says, education is the enhancement or enrichment of personality and the embodiment of universal values. Thus, education is the process of development, which means the gradual and continuous process of or progress of mind and body. So according to the Western educational thinkers, so education is a deliberate and organized actively through which the physical, intellectual, then aesthetic and moral and spiritual potentials of the child are developed. So what are the aims of education? Coming to aims of education, there are general aims and special or individual aims. We can be divided. Social aims, general, special or individual and social. Three kinds of aims. So what are the general aims? We need to focus on a little bit about the general aims. General aims of education. Each individual teacher has an opinion about that aims of education should be. Not only in their own class, but also in school in general. So what are the aims? So to develop social skills, the main objective. According to these general aims, we need to focus on, so to develop social skills, then to teach students the art of living. The third one is to learn how to learn. To learn how to learn. Then to develop balanced personality. That is also very good general aim. To develop balanced personality. Then to develop lifelong habits for work. This is also very important objective or aim. The finally, in general aims, knowledge of subject matters in being taught. These are all general aims. Here are the main focus on to learn how to learn. So some teachers who focus on their own subject matters as being more important than others. Even though they might not normally mention this. Their actions speak louder than words. So teachers who are unwilling to compromise their own subject matter for the good. So these are all general aims. So what are the individual aims? So arguments in favor of individual aims. There are some general advanced in favor of individual aims of education. The first one is based on the learner's psychological principles. We need to focus on the education perspective. So each child has a distinct instincts and inherent tendencies. So based on their psychological principles, we need to focus. Then based on biological principles, we need to focus. These are all individual focusing on aims. So based on psychological principles and based on biological principles, we need to frame some kind of aims. Then based on progressive attitude. For example, for his own good, the individual creates society to preserve purity and transmit its culture. right? Some of the other based on the democratic values also. And we need to focus on possibility of how we can develop the social uh, disintegration. They're not applicable to real life. To encourages individuals. Then what are the main? Yeah, with this, the main focused on the education psychology. There are three kind of aims: the general as well as individual. Then finally societal aims. So meaning of social aim, some of the arguments on support of social aim. For example, society is just like a huge human body. Just all the parts of the body get sustains from the fulfillment of all the needs of the body. Then each individual born with animal or raw instincts according to the heredity phenomenon. Culture and civilization are born and developed in the society. Hence, it is that the duty of every individuals to serve society in order to maintain and develop both. So, importance of educational aims. So, an educational aims must be founded upon the instinct, activities, and needs. So, some of the factors are also determining the educational aims. That factors associated with the philosophy of life, the factors associated with the psychology, so factors associated with the socio-economic problem, sometimes the some kind of factors associated with the political ideology, the factors associated with the exploration of knowledge, and associated with the culture and associated with the religion. These are all the factors of determining the overall. The present century has been called the century of the compromises. Individual and society are complementary to each other. The individual is the product of society, and the society in its own turn finds the fulfillment of the development of the individual members. So upcoming, we need to focus on other units, upcoming classes. So with this, we can conclude about this today's unit, right? Thank you. And upcoming classes, we need to focus on other units.